You can lie to the world. You can lie to your friends. You can even lie to yourself for a little while. But let me tell you something. Time don't forget. Truth don't sleep. And karma don't lose addresses. You think you got away with it? That betrayal, that secret, that smile you wore while you stabbed someone in the back, you thought it vanished the moment you turned your head? Nah, it circled. It circled like a hawk over its prey, just waiting for the right moment to drop. Because every lie told, every heart broken, every trust shattered, it comes back, full circle. You see, life ain't a straight line. It's a wheel. And that wheel don't stop turning just 'cause you moved on. You may have forgotten what you did to them, but they didn't, and more importantly, life didn't. Ever wonder why some folks never find peace? Why, no matter how far they run, something always feels off? That's not coincidence. That's not bad luck. That's the full circle pulling up a seat. And I know some people think they're too clever, too careful, too protected. They think consequences are for other people. But here's the truth. There's no such thing as a clean betrayal. Because when you betray someone, when you lie and deceive, you don't just hurt them, you break a part of yourself. You just don't hear it crack until it's too quiet around you, too late, too dark. So when it comes back, and it will come back, it won't knock politely. It's not coming for a conversation. It's coming for justice, not revenge. Justice, but hear me clearly. This ain't just about punishment. This is about reckoning, about accountability. Because if you can face that circle with courage, with honesty, with humility, then maybe, just maybe, you come out the other side stronger, wiser. Free. But if you run, if you lie again, if you blame everybody but the face in the mirror, that circle becomes a cage. And baby, it locks from the inside. So remember this. Every lie you told, every promise you broke, every betrayal you thought you buried, it's on its way home, making back full circle. And when it arrives, you better be ready. Because it remembers everything you hoped it forgot. You can lie to the world, you can lie to your friends, you can even lie to yourself. For a little while. You can smile in someone's face while the knife is still warm in your hand. You can act like nothing happened, like there's no blood on the floor, no silent screaming in the spaces where truth used to live. But just because the room goes quiet doesn't mean the story's over. Oh no. See, time, it don't forget. Truth, it don't stay buried. And karma don't ever lose its way back. You think you're slick. You think because no one saw you, no one ever will. You think you walked away clean because you didn't get caught in the moment. But what you didn't realize is life was watching. Life don't need to yell when it can whisper. It don't need to chase when it knows you'll circle right back to the scene of your own crime. Because everything you put out into this world, every lie, every betrayal, it don't just vent, it multiplies. It plants itself in the ground like a seed. And you can bet your soul the harvest will come. Not always when you expect it, but always when it's due. There's this illusion that people carry that they're somehow separate from their actions, That what they did last year or 10 years ago lives in some dusty box that'll never be opened. But the past is not a place, it's a shadow. It follows you until you face it, until you deal with it. You may outrun people, you may even outrun their memories, but you cannot outrun the weight of what you've done. You can't outrun yourself. The thing about betrayal is, it doesn't just break the person you betrayed, it breaks you too. A little crack here, a little rot there, and before you know it, you're living in a house built on lies, wondering why the walls won't hold. You thought what you did to them was over and done, but the damage ain't just in what happened, it's in what it turned you into. What you had to become to keep living with it. And then, one day, life comes back around. Maybe it's in the form of someone doing you wrong. Maybe it's your own child looking you in the eye, asking you why you lied. Maybe it's that silence late at night, when the weight of everything you never said, everything you never made right, sits on your chest and won't let you breathe. That's the circle closing. That's the reckoning knocking. And it don't come for revenge, it comes for truth. Because there's no revenge in truth, just clarity. And clarity hurts more than any blade ever could. It strips you bare. It shows you who you really are, not who you pretended to be. It holds up the mirror and says, this is the cost. Now, what are you gonna do about it? It's my name, Hoyuna. This is the cost. Now, what are you gonna do about it? Now you got a toy. This is the cost. Now what are you gonna do about it? You see, we all have a moment in this life where we face what we thought we escaped. We stand in the middle of that circle, our actions surrounding us, staring us down, and we have a choice. Either we stand up and own it, face it like a person of character, or we run again. But let me tell you something, every time you run, the circle gets smaller, it gets tighter, and it don't loosen its grip just because, that's when it squeezes harder. But here's the thing, that full circle moment, it ain't always your downfall. Sometimes it's your breakthrough. If you've got the heart to face it, if you've got the strength to tell the truth, not just to others, but to yourself. If you're man or woman enough to say, yeah, I did that, and I own it, then that same circle that came to collect can also come to set you free. But only if you stop hiding, only if you stop running. Be surprised when the past shows up wearing a new face, when life brings you back to the beginning, just so you can finally choose a different end. Because everything we put out into this world, it circles. The love, the hate, the lies, the betrayal, it all comes back one way or another. And when it does, you better be ready, because it remembers. Even the things you hoped it forgot. You can lie, cheat, scheme, manipulate, do whatever you need to do to get ahead, get by, get away. You can convince yourself that nobody saw, nobody felt, nobody knew. But the thing about consequences is, they don't need an audience. They don't need the world to clap or call your name. They're patient, quiet, and heavy. You can try to shake them off, bury them under distractions, run faster than your guilt, but you can't outrun what's been etched into the walls of time. The things you do don't just disappear. They wait. They grow. They evolve. We live in a world where people confuse temporary silence for immunity. They think because the phone didn't ring, because no one called them out, because they slept through the night, that they got away clean. But life isn't a courtroom. Justice here doesn't always show up in handcuffs or headlines. Sometimes it comes when you least expect it. When you finally have everything you thought you wanted, and suddenly, none of it feels like enough. When you finally sit still long enough to hear your own thoughts, and they don't sound like victory. They sound like ghosts. You start to realize the consequences aren't always external. Sometimes they're internal. The sleepless nights, the broken relationships, the way people flinch when they hear your name, the opportunities that vanish without explanation, the doors that stay shut without reason. That's the weight showing up in real time. That's life telling you, you may have moved on, but what you did hasn't. And that weight will come back around, stronger, louder, heavier. People like to say time heals all wounds, but they forget time also reveals. And what time reveals, it doesn't always come with mercy. Because time don't play favorites. It doesn't care how charming you are, how good you look, how successful you've become. If you built your foundation on lies, it will crack. If you rose by betrayal, you will fall under the pressure of what you stole. And if you ran from the truth, one day, you'll be too tired to keep running. And that's when the weight lands. That's when the silence breaks. You'll feel it in the moment someone tells you the truth, and it hits a nerve, because it sounds like the thing you buried. You'll feel it when someone does to you what you once did to somebody else, and suddenly the pain isn't theory, it's personal. You'll feel it when the mirror stops flattering and starts accusing, when the things you used to brag about start to haunt you. That's the consequence. That's the real cost. Not just what you did, but who you became while doing it. Who you lost, what you gave up, what you can't get back. It's a slow fall. That's the dangerous part. Because it doesn't look like a fall at first. It looks like success. It looks like winning. It feels like freedom. If you've wronged somebody, if you've broken something that wasn't yours to break, if you told yourself it didn't matter because nobody saw, understand this. The universe saw, and the weight is already on its way. You may not feel it now, but it's coming. And when it gets here, it won't just ask what you did. It'll ask what you are now. And if you're not ready to answer that, you better start getting ready, because consequences don't knock politely. They break down the door. And when they come in, they don't leave empty-handed. In a world built on illusions, where masks are cheaper than mirrors, and silence is sold as survival, truth stands alone. Not flashy, not loud, just solid, just there. And in that stillness, that unwavering presence, lies the kind of power most people never understand until it's too late. Because truth doesn't need permission. It doesn't beg to be believed. It just is. And while lies dance and spin and multiply, truth waits, not for approval, but for courage. See, we live in a time where deception is currency. People dress it up, polish it, serve it with a smile. They lie to protect their pride, to keep their image clean, to buy more time, more power, more followers, more applause. Integrity is treated like a luxury, like something you only hold on to if it's convenient, if it doesn't cost too much. But real integrity, real truth, it always costs. That's why so few carry it. It demands sacrifice. It demands that you show up as you are, not as you pretend to be. It demands that you face the consequences of your choices with your chin up, your hands open, and your back straight. And here's the thing. The truth don't always feel good. Sometimes it burns. Sometimes it breaks. Sometimes it's the very thing that tears your life apart. But what it destroys, it was never meant to save. It clears out the rot. It breaks the illusion. And when the dust settles, what's left, that's real. That's yours. That's unshakable. People chase power like it's something you can hold in your hand or sign on a check. But real power, that quiet, unmovable, undeniable power, it comes from living in truth. It comes from waking up every day knowing you don't have to remember what you said, don't have to keep spinning the lie, don't have to wear a mask so tight you can't breathe. That kind of peace can't be bought, it can't be stolen, and it sure as hell can't be faked. You want to know why truth scares people? Because it exposes everything. It's a light that doesn't blink. It shows people who they really are, not who they say they are. And that kind of reflection, it's hard to look at. That's why people run from it. That's why they twist it, bury it, deny it. But no matter how far you run, how deep you hide, truth doesn't vanish. It waits. And the longer you run, the louder it knocks. Some people think the truth is a weakness, that if you admit you were wrong, if you show your scars, if you stand up and say, yeah, that was me, that you're giving up power. But it's the opposite. That's the strength. That's the moment people feel it. Because anyone can lie. Anyone can pretend. But to stand in the truth, when it's inconvenient, when it hurts, when it costs you something, that's real strength. That's something no one can take from you. Not the critics, not the cowards, not even the ones you disappointed. Because at the end of the day, the only thing stronger than a lie is a soul that's not afraid to be seen. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be polished. You just need to be real. Own your past. Speak your truth. Walk in integrity when no one's watching. That's where character is built. That's where legacy lives. Because the lies may win the moment, but truth will always win the war. And if you've lost your way, if the lies have piled so high you can't see the sky anymore, don't let shame bury you. There's still a way back. It starts with one honest word, one act of integrity, one choice to stop running and start facing. Because the truth doesn't demand perfection. It just demands you. In the end, your reputation might be built by others, but your integrity, that's built by what you choose in the dark, when no one's clapping, when no one's watching. That's where the power is. And that kind of power, it doesn't fade. It doesn't flinch. It doesn't fold. It endures. Because the truth always does. There's this idea people cling to that time erases things. That if you wait long enough, if you keep quiet, if you move on and don't speak about it, then maybe it never really happened. Maybe it gets forgotten. Maybe the universe just lets it slide. But the truth is, karma doesn't run on your timeline. It doesn't check your watch, your schedule, or your status. It doesn't care how much time has passed, because karma has no expiration date. What you put into the world, your energy, your actions, your intentions, it all comes back sooner or later, one way or another. And here's the twist that people miss. Karma doesn't always come back looking the way you think it will. It's not always someone doing to you exactly what you did to someone else. Sometimes it comes as a situation that humbles you. Sometimes it shows up in your relationships, in the people you attract, in the way your heart feels heavy when it should be light. You may think you've escaped. You may look around and see no consequences in sight. But people don't take that opportunity. They take the silence as permission. They confuse mercy for amnesia. And so they keep going, keep lying, keep breaking what isn't theirs to break, keep hurting people who didn't deserve it. And then, years later, when things start to fall apart, when they're betrayed, when they're lied to, when they find themselves alone in a room full of people, they call it bad luck. They call it injustice. They look around and ask, why me? But deep down, something in them knows, because energy never dies. It transfers, it evolves, it finds its way home. You see, you don't get to plant poison and harvest peace. You don't get to build your house on somebody else's broken bones and call it success. Even if the world claps for you, even if you're celebrated, even if your name is in lights, karma don't read headlines. It don't care about applause. It deals in truth. It works in silence, and it moves in perfect timing. And karma isn't about revenge. That's where people get it wrong. It's not out to punish you. It's out to teach you. It's a mirror, not a weapon. When the pain comes back around, when you find yourself in the same position you once put someone else in, it's not the universe trying to break you. It's trying to wake you up, to make you understand, not just on a mental level, but in your soul, what that experience really meant, what it felt like, what it cost. Because until you feel it, you don't really know. And maybe you think nobody saw. Maybe the person you hurt moved on. Maybe they never said a word. Maybe they forgave you without ever hearing "I'm sorry." That doesn't mean karma forgot. That doesn't mean it went away. Sometimes the biggest price you pay is inside. It's the relationships that don't last, the joy that feels just out of reach, the success that rings hollow. It's the way you never quite feel safe or still or whole. That's karma too. Quiet, subtle, but relentless. But here's the other side. Karma doesn't just come for the bad. It comes for the good too. Every time you chose to do right when it was hard, every time you stayed silent instead of striking back, every time you gave love when you got none in return, all of that is coming back too. Because the energy you put out is a seed. It might not bloom today or tomorrow, but it's growing. Always. So the question isn't whether karma is real. The question is, what are you planting? What are you feeding the world? Because it doesn't forget, it doesn't expire. And when it finally circles back to you, it won't ask if you're ready. It'll just show up. And what it brings will be a reflection of everything you gave. So live like it matters. Speak like it matters. Choose like it matters. Because it does. And the universe, it's always keeping score. There comes a time when running no longer works. When the lies you told, the faces you wore, the stories you built to protect your pride, they all start to crumble. They don't fit anymore. They weigh too much. And when that moment hits, when you're staring in the mirror and you don't recognize what's looking back, that's when it begins. That's the moment you either keep sinking or you start reaching for redemption. But let's be clear. There is no redemption without accountability. There is no healing in denial. You don't get to skip the hard part. You don't get to pretend your hands are clean when the blood never left. See, people want peace without the price. They want forgiveness without confession. They want to be seen as good without ever doing the work to face the harm they caused. But it doesn't work like that. Redemption isn't something you get because time passed. It's not earned through silence or success or public image. Redemption begins the second you tell the truth. To yourself first, then to everyone else who deserves it. But here's what they don't understand. Redemption doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from being honest. It comes from saying, yes, I did that. I hurt people. I let them down. I became someone I never meant to be. That's where the shift happens. That's where the walls start to fall and the healing begins. Not the healing that comes from others, but the healing that comes from within. From looking your past in the eye and refusing to look away. You're not going to fix it all in one day. You may never be able to undo the damage. Some people may never forgive you. Some relationships may stay broken. And that's the price. That's the weight of your choices. But redemption isn't about fixing everything. It's about facing everything. It's about standing up and saying, this is who I was, but it's not who I choose to be anymore. And no, you don't get to decide when the forgiveness comes. You don't get to control how long people stay angry or hurt or distant. That's not yours to dictate. That's theirs. Your job is to show up anyway, to apologize without expecting anything back, to be accountable without needing applause, to repair what you can and live differently where you can't. The truth is, redemption isn't just something you say, it's something you live every day, in the way you speak, in the way you treat people, in the way you take responsibility, not just for your past, but for your present. It's in the humility to keep growing, even when no one's watching. It's in the way you rebuild your character, not for image, not for praise, but because you finally understand the weight of your own actions. There's something powerful about a person who owns their story, who doesn't hide behind shame or arrogance or silence. Someone who stands in their truth and says, this is where I failed, but this is also where I begin again. That kind of person, they're dangerous in the best way, because they've been broken and they chose not to stay there. They chose the hard road, the honest road, and there's nothing stronger than that. So if you're searching for redemption, stop looking for shortcuts. Stop waiting for someone to give you permission to heal. You earn that by being accountable, by taking the weight of what you've done and carrying it with grace, with responsibility, and with the determination to never go back to who you used to be. That's how redemption begins. Not when the world forgives you, But when you refuse to lie to yourself another day, when you stop hiding behind blame, when you say, "This is mine," and you carry it fully, that's not weakness, that's not failure. That's the beginning of freedom. There comes a time in life when you can no longer run from the past. It doesn't matter how much you've grown, how many doors you've walked through, or how many miles you've put between you and the things you thought you left behind. The past has a way of finding its way back to you. And when it does, when it knocks on your door, when it shows up uninvited, you are faced with the greatest test of all. How do you respond? Some people think of this moment as the opportunity for revenge. They think the past is coming back to settle scores, to make them pay for their mistakes, to force them to face the consequences of their actions. But that's not what it is. The full circle moment isn't revenge. It's reckoning. It's not about settling old scores, not about proving a point to anyone else. It's about facing the truth of who you are, who you were, and who you're willing to become. It's about looking at the pieces of your past that you tried to bury and accepting them for what they are. It's a moment that strips you down, no distractions, no excuses. When the past returns, it's not interested in your justifications. It doesn't care about the reasons you ran, the mistakes you made, the people you hurt, or the things you told yourself to make it all okay. It only cares about one thing: whether you're ready to look it in the eye and own it. Because that's when you truly know who you are. You see, people often mistake this moment for a chance to get even. They think they can strike back, say the words they never got to say, finally take the revenge they feel they're owed. But that's not the full circle. Revenge is a lie. It's a poison that only leaves you more bitter, more broken. The full circle is not about repeating the past. It's about breaking it. It's about coming full circle in a way that doesn't drag you down, but lifts you up. It's when you realize that confronting the past isn't about getting even. It's about finding peace with it. It's the moment when you stop running from the things that hurt you, when you stop pretending you don't owe someone an apology or that you don't need to make things right. Because when you turn away from the past, when you pretend it doesn't exist, you're not moving forward. You're running in circles. You're stuck in the same patterns, the same mistakes, the same regrets. But when you face it, when you stand tall, unflinching, no longer afraid to be vulnerable, that's when you break free. That's when the full circle becomes a moment of real power. It's not about trying to rewrite your history. You can't change what happened. The past is written in stone, etched in your bones. But how you face it now, how you handle the things you cannot change, that's where your true character shows up. It's about making peace with what you can't undo and using it to fuel your future instead of trapping you in a cage of regret. When the past comes knocking, it's not there to break you. True test. Not whether you've moved on, not whether you've changed your life around. The test is, are you ready to stand in front of what you've done? Look it in the eye and say, I see you, I own you, and I will be better because of you. Because that is what the full circle is. It's the reckoning. It's the final test before you can move forward. It's the ultimate question. Do you have the courage to face your own history, to own what you did, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's painful? And here's the real power of it. Once you pass that test, once you finally come full circle, you are free. Not because the past is erased, but because you no longer carry it with you. You stop letting it control you. Stop letting it dictate your future. You are not defined by your mistakes. You are defined by your ability to own them, learn from them, and move beyond them. The past no longer holds power over you because you've reclaimed it, and that is where true strength lies. So when that full circle moment comes, and it will, don't look at it as a curse. Don't see it as a chance for revenge or retribution. See it for what it really is, an opportunity. An opportunity to confront your truth, to heal, and to take the next step into the person you were always meant to become. It is the final test, but it's also the beginning of everything that comes next. You can't move forward until you face what's behind you. And when you do, you realize you were never running away. You were always heading straight for the moment where you would finally be